Yes, you and you.
My name is Timothy Green, and this is my twin brother, Anthony Green. We basically started in winter of 2002, 2003, where we bought a parachute off of eBay and flew behind a golf cart and off of small hills until we kind of understood about the concepts of flight.
And you.
The summer of 2004, we started really progressing in acrobatics and working for the Civ course, driving the boat and teaching basic maneuvers. And this is where we found a very excellent site where we actually first started kiting. It was an island in the middle of a lake that had a nice steady wind coming onto the shore, and it was sandy and gravelly, and it was perfect for learning how to kite. And I mean, we became very good at kiting when we were not flying, and then when we were flying, we were understanding, and we put the correlation between the two right then and there. And yeah, and we immediately understood why our instructor said that when you're really good at kiting, you're a really good pilot, because all of the kiting is the exact same as when you're flying. And so we could see the direct correlation when somebody was learning there and they were really bad at flying. You could see them in the air, they were bad at doing the acro. They would ask our instructor, what can I do to become a better pilot? And he would say, well, get out there and kite like the rest of them. The wing reacts the same way in the air as it does when you're on the ground, because the wing is in the air. And so when you're doing an asymmetric deflation or anything in the air, it's kind of dangerous because you can get a cravat and spiral to the ground. But if you do it when you're on the ground already, an asymmetric deflation, there's very little danger that can happen. So you can practice a lot of the SIV or the normal maneuvers on the ground in the safe environment where you can really learn how to control the wing. So like you can be on the sand and just pull a full frontal, like the biggest you've ever seen, and nothing's going to happen because you're already on the ground. Yeah, but you still understand what is happening to the glider. And also you can, by ground handling, you learn so much about like the surging of the glider. Like you understand when you're taking off, if you don't brake check, the glider will go in front of you and frontal, and you understand the dynamics. It's like it's amplified. All of the motions of the glider when you're on the ground are increased. Like the glider is not normally stable when you're standing on the ground. It always wants to go to the side. And when you're ground handling, if you're constantly controlling the glider, keeping it above you, you learn so much more for when the glider is stable above you. Then you know for instance, you hit some turbulence, your glider surges, you know to brake and to weight shift to correct the movement of the glider. And then you feel so much more since you have a reference. The ground is the reference. So if you get pulled up, you feel the pulling, and you realize that much pull brought you up 1 meter. And then by releasing the brakes, you come down and you have more speed. You realize that you do have more speed, and that you come into motion like this because you have a reference like right there, and you really understand the aspects of the glider and the. Yeah, and a lot of students and new pilots come up to us and ask, so how do we know when the wing is going to stall? And like what point will the wing stall, and how long do I have to hold the brakes down? And we say, well, don't go and try it way up high in the air because you can have a lot of problems. You just come on landing, or when you're on the dune, you can just brake, and just half a meter off the ground and keep braking until you feel it stall, and then you know that that's the stall point. You can
do almost, well, you can do every maneuver in the air that you can on the ground. Just by, you can put your glider up on the edge and apply brake on the high side, and it's exactly like a sat. It's the same body motion.
It's just staying still instead of rotating around you.
Yeah.
So you just have like all of your weight shift on one side and the brake, and it's just keeping there, and then you let out and it goes too far down, and it would be like exiting a sat where it just falls into the sand. And if you pull too much, it goes too far up and stalls and spins, so it'd be like a coconut spin. So for like having the wing pull you up the hill like a sailboat going up, you basically are standing straight below your wing with it kited and stable, and you just brake on one side to turn the wing to that side. Instead of following underneath it like you would to keep it stable and above your head, you lean away from it and it comes to the side, and then it often can hit the ground and just like stay there. And then you can bring it back up, and you control it with the top brake to bring it up and to bring it down. And then when you want it to start taking you up the hill, you have to lean away from it and then run like in the same direction, and normally upwind a little bit because it has to be cross, otherwise you have to be going too fast. And you can brake to actually give it more lift and pull you up the hill faster. So at the beginning, normally you have to run down the hill a little bit to get some speed in the wing, and then as it gets speed and creates more lift, then you start running up the hill, and you just control it and keep the wingtip touching the ground or just a half a meter up, because if it goes too far up, then it stops pulling you up and it kind of takes off. And then for when the wind is perfectly straight up the hill, you can do it in both directions. So to change direction, I find instead of bringing it up quite slowly, because it has quite a lot of speed and you're running, and normally you take off and fly like away from the hill, the best thing is to stay on the ground to go up the hill as fast as you can. So you bring it up and then you kind of spin the wing like 180 degrees, and you turn your body at the same time, and then when the wing is on the other side, then you just control it and make sure that the wing isn't stalled or something, and then you continue going up the other direction.
Yes, you. And you.
Yeah, and as far as barefooting, it's the same thing. It's just instead of running, you're sliding your feet like away from the sand and away from your wing. And the wing is basically like controlled, dragging you up the hill. And then for the same way, you kind of slide up the hill and you twist the wing, and you change direction, just dragging your feet the whole time. And then as far as jumping with the wing on the dune, I usually take like a half twist, so I'm facing my wing and you can see what is happening, and take the Ds, like I just clip the brakes on and take the Ds. And so I brake it, and often with the Ds it doesn't stall as easily, so you can add more brake without it like going back on the dune. And then when you want to make your jump, it has to be quite windy. You just let the D up and give it a surge and jump back, and then brake, and it brings you up, and then it's just like controlled surges.
Yeah, basically like dolphin, going up and down like this, but just on the dune.
Yeah, well, my objective is basically to just continue flying and have as much fun as I can. And my goal is obviously to have as much fun, where like if I was to go into teaching or doing something, I think I would lose a lot of the fun aspect of the sport. So I think we will continue flying as much as we can and traveling as much as we can.
And festivals are our favorite to travel at because there's no stress and we just make a nice show, and it's free flight. It's the most unrestricted event that we can do.
So I think right now we'll try to finish our studies as fast as we can, and then what we've learned throughout our life is we can't really plan anything because it's always going to change. So there's really no
Yeah.
point in planning it.
But
So,
paragliding will definitely be a part of our life.
yeah, for a long time.
Yeah.